Hi guys, I'm Ben from Adaptalux and welcome to another macro photography tutorial. Today we're going to be shooting rocks and minerals. We're going to be getting up nice and close, finding out how to capture the details and how to light these pretty tricky subjects. So stick around and I'll get started. When I was a kid, I loved going out and finding interesting little rocks, pieces of sea glass, fossils, and that soon progressed into having a little collection of things like gemstones and crystals, geodes, all stuff that I would get from my local rock collector's shop. These days it's probably a lot easier to get this stuff for a lot cheaper, a lot better quality samples from the internet. So whether you're a macro photographer looking for some interesting subjects to get up close to, or whether you're a geologist looking for some photography tips on shooting your specimens and your finds, we're going to take a look at how to light this stuff, how to get different effects and some really creative shots. I'm going to get started going through my collection and see if we can't find something really interesting to shoot. Bear in mind that 12-year-old me did not have the best labeling system in place, so if I get any of the names of these gemstones and crystals wrong, do let me know. Put it down in the comments if I'm mispronouncing something. On that note, let's get started with our first subject. So my first subject today is going to be this little slice of blue striped agate. And you'll be able to see a little bit better once we get the macro lens on, but this is actually a little bit translucent, so I'm going to be able to shine a light all the way through here and pick up on all of those lovely pale blue stripes on the inside. There's also some imperfections in here. We've got some discoloration and there's a big fracture going through into the center of the slice, so I want to capture that on our stills as well. The first thing I'm going to do is give this a bit of a clean because it's got dust all over it, decades worth of dust. So I'm just going to use a lens cloth just very, very softly to get rid of that dust and brighten this up again to display quality specimen there, and that looks fine to me. So I'm going to pop this into a clamp and then we can get our macro lens out and have a look through the viewfinder. What I have here is a little soldering clamp. It's actually Sam's, but it's quite useful for setting up subjects with as well, especially small ones like this. So I've got my agate piece here. I'm actually going to wrap it just a little bit in the lens cloth, just so these crocodile clips don't damage the crystal, and then I can pop it into here. From there I'm able to place this exactly where I need it in relation to my camera, and then I can place my lighting to suit that as well. So I'm going to find a good composition to get some of this discoloration and this fracture here, and we can have a look through the camera at our lighting. So I've got my subject over here held steady by the clamp, my camera is held steady by a mini tripod, and I also have the Adaptalux Studio here on another mini tripod. Holding all of this steady is going to be pretty important so that we don't get any camera shake as we take our shots. So I've got a single white lighting arm S plugged in here, which is nice and bright and has a nice spotlight that points down at our subject. As we experiment and move this round, you'll see that the light can really change depending on where it's falling on this subject. Because it's translucent, all of the light can enter the subject, bounce around, and it's going to bring out all of that really nice blue colour and some of the details as well, like that fracture that goes through the middle. We can get a nice shadow under there to really highlight that, and those colours as well that are shining through just next to the fracture. We can see if we can bring those out a little bit as well. If you bring your lighting forward towards the camera, you'll see that it's going to highlight a little bit more of the rock on the edges. So that might be a choice that you'll have to make, is how much light do you want on the rock edge and how much light do you want shining through the blue colour. Now, it's maybe not mutually exclusive. We can add more light sources to accomplish both of those goals. So I'm going to bring in another white lighting arm. I'm going to move all of these around and balance them out and see what we can achieve just by moving these lights around. And that really is the joy of continuous lighting like this. Because we can see through the viewfinder as we change our lighting, we can see exactly what we're getting. If you're using flash, it would be a bit of trial and error to see where the light is landing, but this means that you can balance all of your lights, you can move them around. For a subject like this, it really is invaluable to have some continuous light going on. I'm going to spend a couple more minutes moving these lights around and see if I can't get a nice shot out of this subject. Next up, we've got something a little bit bigger and something a little bit more complex to light. This is a large piece of raw amethyst. You can see it on the back, it's still got all of the rocky surface, and then obviously on the inside it's got the crystal, which would once have been part of a much larger geode with all of the crystals inside a much larger rock. It's been cracked open so that we can get to these lovely purple crystals on the inside. Now, this is absolutely covered in dust, and our lens cloth, it's not going to do the trick because you can't get into all of these tiny little crevices created by the crystals. So I'm going to use a trick that I used for dusting all of my ornaments and Lego and things like that, delicate things. A makeup brush, just a clean, brand new makeup brush. You can get really quite rough with this without damaging anything, and it's going to get into all of those little gaps and take all of the dust out. If the dust isn't leaving and you're just shuffling it around, try doing it upside down so that the dust falls out, and you should find that all of your crystals are going to be nice and bright and shiny again with no dust or fur or hair anywhere. Make sure that you're not leaving any of the bristles of your makeup brush inside your amethyst crystals. I think we're good to go. So I'm going to set this up in front of our camera and see if we can't get some really interesting shots. With this lovely piece of amethyst, I'm really excited to get a shot from the side. I think it's going to be really nice to get almost a mountain range of those purple crystals coming up, going out of the rock level at the bottom, up into the white and then into the purple. And we can really take advantage of that purple colour by moving our lighting around. If you point it from the top, it's not as apparent. If you bring it round to the sides, to the back, you can change exactly how that colour is showing. And obviously we can do all of the same effects that we had on our last subject because it's still translucent. You can still shine a lot of the light through these crystals. I wanted to try something a little bit different as well. I like the natural colour that we're getting from these crystals, and obviously if you're wanting a representative shot of what this mineral actually looks like, then you're not going to want to add any artificial colours into the shot. But if you're going for sort of creative shots, wanting to get nice colours and effects out of your images, I'm going to try adding a colour filter just with some pink, because I think that will really complement the natural colours of the purple, and we can see exactly what that's going to do, adding a little bit more colour, a bit unnatural to the actual subject, but experimenting around with colours in this way is going to be really, really interesting. If I try out, say, a blue instead, that's going to do something completely different again, and this is what I want to experiment with for this subject. I want to add some interesting colours in here. I'll throw in a natural shot for the geologists out there as well, but I think these colours can really bring something to the party. I've got some really interesting subjects in my collection, but I'm not going to be able to get through them all today. So the last one that I'm going to take a look at is this Ragga Knight, which is absolutely amazing. It's got all of these little brown crystals growing out of a single rock. So it's got these crystals coming out in all directions. It looks almost like a little miniature alien planet with things growing out of it. So I wonder if I can't take advantage of that and make it look like it's floating in space or something like that. I'm going to pop this down on our surface and see what we can do with our lighting. This might be the most interesting formation that I've shot today, but it's definitely the most tricky to get right. Because it's not a single translucent piece of crystal, all of these other little pieces of crystals are interfering. They're all light in different ways. The center of the rock is completely opaque, so that is really, really dark as soon as the light is not shining on it. What that means is I've had to bring a lighting arm around the front and one down in from the side as well. And you can see very clearly as you move your lighting around the difference that this is going to make to a subject like this. Making it look almost like a planet is very, very difficult, but the way that we've been shooting our background today really helps with that. Because we've got our subject lit in the middle here really, really brightly, it doesn't really matter what's in the background over here as long as it's not very bright. All of our background is just underexposed. So this is actually quite a well-lit room, but because our subject is so well lit, the background is going to be really underexposed and appear black. So when shooting subjects like this, you don't need to really think too hard about what's in your background if you're shooting just across and into open space. If you're wanting to get the whole piece in the shot, you maybe need to think about the surface that you're putting on, but because my shots today are taking small close-up shots of just individual pieces, I think we're going to get away with it. I'm going to explore a little bit more of this Ragga Knight and see if I can't get a couple of really cool shots of these individual crystals as well. Today's shoot has brought back quite a lot of nostalgic memories for me. Getting all of these little rocks and crystals and minerals out of storage and taking a look at them up close has been really interesting. It's not something that I got to do as a kid, so getting a really, really close-up view of these has been amazing. Obviously, I've taken a bit of artistic liberty with these, so if you're a geologist or you're collecting rocks and minerals and crystals, definitely let me know down in the comments what you think to today's shoot and the results that I got. If you do something differently, definitely let me know, because I've still got a lot more in my collection to shoot, including some much more tricky subjects, which I'll keep secret for now. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what you think and what you'd like to see me try. While you're down in the comments, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like and hit the subscribe button for some more videos coming very soon. For now though guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.